What's going on, family? This is Derek L. McRae. That's right. I'm coming to you today with a new podcast. I'm excited about today's discussion. What I need you to do is I need you to get everybody you know connected, because we're about to dive into some stuff. It ain't no telling what I'm going to say, how I'm going to say it, but know that at the end of the day, it's going to be something that hopefully will benefit all of us. So I want you to go ahead, get your family, your friends, tell everybody to jump in, because we got a lot to say, a little time to say it. It's the podcast. That's right. Unscripted. What's going on, family? Listen, this is your boy Derek McRae. I'm excited to be here today for another edition with Unscripted. Listen, man, a lot of things are going on in the world. Life is really just flying by. Matter of fact, the days are flying by. Feels like we were just having a watch night service the other day. Man, things are running fast, great. I hope that you have been productive in life this year. And if you haven't, good news is you still got time to catch up and get some things done. Just means you got to get a little faster in your efforts and make sure that you attend to everything that you had written out at the top of you that you was going to accomplish. But there's a lot to talk about, a lot of things that are happening, and I want you to jump in with me today for this segment of Unscripted, man. And listen, we always start out our segments by talking about a spotlight, somebody that's doing some great things in the community. And man, I'm excited about this young man. This guy named is Desmond Meade. Desmond Meade is the founder and also the president and CEO of FRRC. That's Florida Rights Restoration Coalition. They're doing some great work down in the state of Florida. Literally are helping returning citizens from coast to coast, paying fines, voters rallies, campaigning, motivating, finding programs, getting employment for those residents. Man, I'm telling you right now, Desmond is doing some phenomenal things. Here's what makes it so special to me and so unique about him, because Desmond literally came from the streets of Miami, Florida. He was down there. He has a testimony. He talks about getting ready to cross the railroad track to commit suicide. He was going to commit suicide standing on the train track, getting ready to give everything up in life because of the fact that he felt so much pressure from what life was presented to him. And on that track, the Lord spoke to Desmond and told Desmond, get off the track. I still got work for you to do. Man, that is so uplifting, because it shows me that even when we feel like we're at the end of our road, the Lord is not through with us yet. Desmond got off that, man. He went and got married. He married the lovely Sheena Meade as well. They got a beautiful family. Things are going great. He's traveling the nation, challenging different political officials. He's literally meeting, man, with people. Matter of fact, I just saw not too long ago, he did a talk with I think Rick Ross and a few other guys on his platform talking about social development. He's still got that urban swang to him as well. He think he's a little dab kind of dude, you know, but he got that little urban swang to him. And Desmond is doing some phenomenal things, man. What's amazing about it is, even though Desmond is a black man, he's also learned how to cross over into the Republican field as well. And he has Republicans working with him. His sidekick is a guy by the name of Neil. Neil is a white guy from Naples, Florida, working with Desmond, which is really just highlighting and showing us that blacks and whites can work together, even if you're on two different political sides, if you're on two different issue sides, if you're on two different whatever it is. Our differences don't have to separate us, but we can bring our differences together and we can grow from it. So Desmond Meade. Desmond, I wish I knew your middle name, because if I knew your middle name, I'd call you that too. So matter of fact, let's make it up. Desmond Lavasi Meade. That's what we're going to call you today. Desmond Lavasi Meade. We honor you, man. If y'all don't know about FRRC yet, make sure you get connected, because they are doing some phenomenal things. Desmond, my hat is tipped off to you, man. Love you for real, man. Let's talk. All right. Matter of fact, since we're talking about Desmond Meade, let's jump into this Don't Cancel Me. Don't cancel me. We got this segment because we know that we live in a very opinionated society. And it's amazing to me how when the society decides that they don't like your views or your standpoints, they just cancel you. And so I'm hoping that y'all don't cancel me for what I'm about to talk about. I want to deal with this prison and this pipeline to prison policy. Let's talk about this pipeline to prison. epidemic that is taking place. We all know it, especially down in Florida, man, it's real strong, that there are so many prisons. Matter of fact, I once heard a report that said that they are building prisons based upon third grade results. Third grade results is causing them to build prisons. They're looking at our kids in the third grade and they're seeing how they're functioning in third grade. And from there, they're saying, you know what? They ain't gonna make it. So they're building prisons. And a lot of our people are upset with it. And I don't like the prison pipeline procedure either. I don't really care for that myself. But let's talk about even a greater issue within that issue, because it bothers a lot of people because of the fact that we're seeing that so many African Americans are getting locked up. So it does bother a lot of people because of that. So many African Americans, especially males, are getting locked up. One of the things that I want to challenge, and we're not dealing with the police piece today because that's a whole different discussion, because some of the infractions of law enforcement needs to be created, and some of those are recreated. Some of those things need to be fixed. Some of those things need to be just tossed out. We understand that there needs to be an overhaul with policing in America, but that's not our discussion today. I want to talk about us parenting and making sure that we're investing into our kids in such a way that we're keeping our kids accountable so we don't have to worry about the population filling up in prison. Because here's the truth. Everybody's kids are not going to prison. Everybody's household is not experiencing prison. So there's something that we have to do as well. Now, we know what the government got to do. We understand the call for the government and the call for policing, the call for our judiciary systems. We understand all those things. But I want to talk to something that we don't like to talk about a lot. Let's make sure us as parents that we are also helping to prevent our kids from going to prison. Here's the question. Sometimes I look at kids as I'm sometimes flying back in Orlando, and sometimes I'm flying back late, and I'm seeing kids out on the streets late at night. The question is, where your mama at? Mama, where your child at? Do you know where your kids are? We can't keep just saying it's somebody else's fault when we keep allowing our kids to roam at their leisure. Man, my mom had a curfew on me. She told me what time I was going to be in the house. My mom had her hand on me the entire time of my rearing. And watch this. A lot of times we don't have our hands on our kids, the pulse on our kids, because we tried to put the pulse on them too late. We got to make sure we do it earlier. Let's do what the Bible says. Train them children up in the way they should go. That means catch them early. Man, it ain't cute that they get to slap you in their face when they 6 months and 1 year old. That ain't cute. You got to stop that junk, because that little now tap gonna turn into a full slap, and next year, you know, man, they 13 years old and you scared of them. No, man, we got to make sure we start raising our own kids back up. Yeah. I'm not saying that our government ain't jacked up in a lot of ways, but I'm also saying it ain't no or. I am saying an and. I am saying and our parenting associations are jacked up too. And we got to do a better job in raising our kids. And if we raise our kids better, we can prevent some of those things while we're working on the government doing better. But we can't just put it all on the government. Some of this stuff is right up on us, and we got to come into a better level of accountability. Now, y'all, don't kill me. Don't kill me. That's just my views. That's my opinions. Matter of fact, I feel like those radio shows, the views and opinions of this broadcast, definitely that of Derek L. McRae, unscripted. All right, I love y'all, but let's jump into this discussion today, because we are talking about who says healing don't hurt. I'm gonna be transparent today. I want to give you a testimony. Some of you may know about me. So I went to Florida A&M University, and while I was at Florida A&M University, I was a freshman there. Met this girl who was an upperclassman, and man, I fell in love. I fell in love. I was so in love. I was head over heels. She had it going on. She had a nice car, beautiful car. She had her own crib. Mom and daddy made good money. I'm a freshman in Tallahassee, first time ever on my own like this. And I met this girl who was gorgeous, man. She was a beautiful girl. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this gonna be it. This gonna be it. This gonna be it. I even thought we was gonna get married. I thought this was the first girl I met in college. I was like, this the wife. This the one I'm gonna marry. And here I am going through this. And all of a sudden, man, we broke up. We broke up because she said that my values wasn't of what I was professing. And she started dating this other dude, man. This other dude who was of a different religious belief, but he had values. And she started dating him. He brought her into a level of discipline that I just wasn't trying to hear at that time. I was trying to have fun. I was in love. I wanted to do whatever it took. But this dude brought some discipline into the life with her, and next thing I know, they broke up with me. Man, this sent me in a frenzy. I literally began to contemplate suicide. Yeah, I was walking around, man, looking like a darn zombie on the hill. Walk around skinny because I wasn't eating nothing. I was already like real skinny. I was wearing a $1.25 strong on a wet day with a raincoat on. But I started getting stressed out, and I did this thing, man. We had spent so much time at each other's house because I had moved off campus by now. And we had spent so much time at each other's house that when I would go home, I couldn't even sleep in my bedroom. It was like literally all night. So I told the Lord, I said, I'm going to read the whole book of Psalms. Man, if y'all know anything about reading the Bible, y'all know that's 150 different divisions of Psalms, 150 different books of Psalms. I started reading all them books of Psalms, and some of them chapters long, like got a lot of verses to them. I'm reading all these books, and I'm going through, and I told the Lord, I said, when I finish Psalms, I'm going to be delivered. And he went through that, man. Psalms came to the end, and man, I was still feeling the same way. Here I am now, even more at rage, wanting to commit suicide. And then I said, God, I'm gonna read Proverbs. I read the whole book of Proverbs too. Man, I went all through Proverbs, didn't understand half the stuff I was reading because it was all like in just crossover communications, and that still wasn't there. But I had to go through a process. The process that I went through, I made it through it, obviously, because I'm here today. But it was a process that I went through. But the process was called healing. I had been hurt, but I had to heal. And I discovered that healing don't happen overnight. Healing takes a little time. That's what I want to talk to you about today. So come on, let's cut the music. Let's talk today about who said healing doesn't hurt. Who said it doesn't hurt? Now, in theory, it sounds like this is what we want. But in reality, this is what we don't like. We don't like the process of healing. What I found in my discovery is that burn victims who have suffered severe third-degree burns have to undergo an extremely excruciating, painful process called hydrotherapy. Hydrotherapy. These are the times that they have these baths that they take. The burn victims have to take these baths that involves scrubbing off the dead skin cells as it's coming off and creating wounds and scabs. This happening. It's a painful. It sounds painful even as we're talking, but it's a necessary process so that the skin can regenerate. It has to happen. They got to scrub it so that the skin can come, which means sometimes in dealing with the hurt, we got to scrape a little harder to get things off. So let's imagine this. It already hurt getting burned, but then the process to ending hurt for these individuals means that you got to go through more process of hurt in order to get to process of heal. And most people don't ever experience healing because they don't want to hurt anymore. Many people start running for solutions and going to the quickest things to help us heal quickly. It's kind of like this. Let's be honest. Most of us, I'm not going to say all of us because I don't know all of y'all personally, but most of us have gone through something of a breakup. And usually the first thing we do in a breakup is we find a rebound. We don't sit and wait for our mental condition to be better. We don't sit and wait for our outlook and our belief system to be restored. We jump into something because we want to be diverted from what we're feeling right now. And we're looking for a quick solution, which usually does this. Watch what it does. It usually pushes us further down the road that we still got to meet this process called healing. Further down the road. So we may be entertained, but the whole time, watch this, we are now starting to hurt the individual that we thought came to help us. Because here's a theory. I heard this years ago. I heard that hurt people hurt people. Hurt people really do hurt people. And many of us are hurting people. And sometimes we don't even know we're hurting them because we've taken on a selfish perception that I just want to be healed, even at the expense of whoever else I'm about to hurt. And that's where a lot of people are. We're hurt And we're hurting other people because we're not whole. You shouldn't want to give to somebody else a hurt you. You should want to give them a hold you. But hurt people, they begin to hurt people because we're trying to find a place that gives us comfort again. But sometimes in order to get the comfort, you got to go through a discomfort. In order to get the comfort, sometimes you got to go through this thing, man. So what do you do when what you want comes through what you don't like? What do you do when your safest place comes through your scariest place? What do you do when you got to suffer a little longer so you can have satisfaction? That's the process of healing. And healing really does hurt. But you got to focus your mind on the distance and not on your selfish desires. You got to focus your mind on where you want to go. You got to focus your mind on what you want to be. You got to focus your mind that, watch this, it is possible. It took years for me to discover that love was real again because I went through such a traumatic experience. But you know what it also did for me? It taught me that regardless of what I'm going through, it taught me that I always can see a better side at the end of the tunnel if I simply decide not to give up. For every burn victim that's gone through that and that's going through that, the hydrotherapy, man, the knowledge of you not quitting indicates that there is something on the other side of that. One of my favorite songs, and I like to say songs because I'm a musician, y'all, so I played drums for years professionally. One of my favorite songs say, "It won't always be like this. It won't always be like this." And I don't want you to contaminate people right now because you can't see beyond what you see right now. One of the smartest animals in the world. Well, I'm gonna say this, one of the happiest animals in the world. I just learned this other day. One of the happiest animals in the world is the goldfish. The goldfish is the happiest animal in the world. Why is the goldfish so happy? You know why the goldfish is so happy? The goldfish is so happy because the goldfish has a 10-second memory. 10-second memory. After 10 seconds, the goldfish is clueless. And some of us need to adopt a goldfish mentality. We need to forget the things that hurt us. We need to be determined that even the things that are currently hurting us on our journey to healing will be over. Got to let some stuff go. And a lot of us can't get healed because of the fact that we don't want to face the hurt. And also we don't want to identify that it's going to hurt. One of the worst things possible for me is going to the doctor's office and getting a shot. Man, I hate shots. Listen to me. I'll never, ever be a crackhead. Never be on no heroin. You know why? Because I don't like needles. Not that I don't want to get high maybe, but I just don't like needles. And because of the fact that I don't like needles, because that's a fear for me, listen, I hate going to the doctor's office to get shots. But I have to mentally prepare myself that this is going to be some pain, but this is also going to be some healing. And that's where you got to be. You got to be focused on the end results when you're talking about healing, because healing is not a short-term process. True healing is not a short-term process. It's going to take a little time because true healing is painful. And you know why true healing is painful? Just as we talked about those burn victims, because there are layers to healing. Healing ain't just a destination. It's layers to it. You get better. When I was younger, I remember I was driving a bike. And I was driving my bike, and it was my first time on a 10-speed, y'all. You know, I had a dirt bike all these years. I was good at riding dirt bikes. I knew how to ride it. I could jack it up. I could do a pop a wheelie on the dirt bike and all that kind of stuff. I knew how to ride it real fast, slam on brakes, and throw it to the side, and my back wheel just go skidding around. I knew how to do all that stuff. But man, I grew up a little bit more. And I got this 10-speed bike. When I got this 10-speed bike, man, I was riding my bike and I was showing off because everybody in the neighborhood knew I was a real good bike rider. So I ride my bike and stuff. And my best friend, James, one of my best friends, James Dudley. And so James' house had, right next to his driveway, his mom had this little garden area. But the garden was laced with a lot of different cactus bushes. And I remember driving my bike, and going and going and going. And I was going back into James' driveway, to show James I got a bike. So I was getting ready to go show James I had a bike. Man, I rode up in that thing and James was outside. His mom was outside. His dad was outside. My grandma was across the street watching me and everything. And I was riding my little bike and I was coming down the street real fast. And I was going to just slam on brakes in James' driveway. And I was going to leave a black skid mark in James' driveway. That was my signature mark. I was going to leave my little black skid mark in his driveway. And when I got ready to stop, I remembered, shoot, this 10 speed, you cannot reverse the pedals to stop it. So I rode into James' mom's little garden area, her little flower bed area. Yeah. I forgot to tell y'all. In the flower bed area, it was mostly cactus bushes. Mostly cactus bushes. And I rode into this garden area because I couldn't stop. My intention wasn't to ride in there. But I ended up riding into this cactus bush area. And when I did, I was pedaling. And then it finally stopped the bike. And when it stopped the bike, I was like, oh, snap. What do I do? Because to put my foot down means I'm going to get stabbed. To fall means I was going to get stabbed. And all I could do was take the fall. I took the fall. And when I fell down into it, man, I had cactus pricks all over me. My grandma ran over. I was hollering like, listen, I can't even say some of them terminologies. I was hollering like a little garden tool. I was hollering because it was painful. And watch this. As much as my grandma loved me, as much as my boy was my boy, as much as his mom loved me, none of them stood into them cactus bushes with me. None of them none of them walked in there to pick me up to take me out. Here's what my grandmama told me. Okay, from a distance, she said, I need you to stand up. And I need you to walk out them cactus bushes. Grandma, she wasn't trying to hear that. She was not getting up in them bushes with me. James' mama owned the bushes, and she wasn't trying to get up in them bushes with me. James' daddy was looking like, Lord, have mercy. James, on the other hand, was laughing at me. He was crying, laughing. So we both had tears. We just had two different kinds of tears. I was crying because I was in pain. James was crying because it was funny to him. But my grandmama stood out there and never did she get in them cactus bushes with me. She said, come on and step out. Which shows me that even when you hurt, you got to make the first step. When you hurt, can't nobody really help you with the first step to being hurt. You got to help yourself. When I came out, my grandmother and Sister Dudley and James' dad and even James, they all was rapidly plucking the pricks of the cactuses out of my skin. Listen, I was shaking. I was crying. Snot was coming out my nose, y'all. It was a dirty mess. If it had been COVID, I probably would have died because nobody would have touched me with all that mucus coming out my nose. I know that's nasty, but it was happening. They all started plucking out. But when they finished plucking all the thorns out of me, now I had rashes and sores. It was a process. My grandmama did something, y'all. This old school. My grandmama did something that many of your grandparents did to you too. She took this clear bottle of liquid and poured it on me, and I hollered again. It's called alcohol. Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. Today's alcohol is different. Today's alcohol don't burn. Matter of fact, I don't know what happened. Like peroxide burned today, and alcohol don't burn no more. But back then, oh my gosh, that alcohol. Listen, I think that was that yak. I don't think that was regular alcohol. I think my grandmama had some. Matter of fact, no, she had some stored up Ciroc that it wasn't even out yet. But she had the prelude to Ciroc, I believe, in her cabinet because I believe my grandmama poured Ciroc in my wounds, and I was hollering so bad it was burning like crazy. But my grandmama said, you gotta take this to get better. You gotta take this. She said, this is to fight against the infections. I couldn't understand it, couldn't feel it, I couldn't deal with it. But the truth is, I had to go through something in order for me to get better. And that's what many of us are. You got to go through something, man. Stop fighting what's going to help you. Stop fighting it because the healing that you desire is going to come through a process that you don't desire. I'm going to say that again. The healing that you desire is going to come through a process that you don't desire. Now, you can subscribe to this fictitious healing, which is Band-Aids, but you still got to deal with one day a scab got to get on there. One day you got to come full circle with it. One day you got to identify this thing. You got to heal this thing, because the worst thing possible for you is to live with hurt. You don't want to live with hurt. And so healing hurts, but you got to recognize it like this. The suffering is just for an appointed time. It's not going to be for always. It's just for the moment. You're going to go through some stuff right now, but that's cool. You got to be more determined and more focused on the outcome than you are the temporary placement. You got to be committed to the long haul of this. And you got to know that, man, if I go through this, it's going to get better. Reminded always of a woman when they're getting ready to give that birth to the child, man, and the doctors come out and they had that big old long needle. Think about it. If they ain't pregnant and the doctor bring that needle out there, they going to tell the doctor, hex to the no. They going to tell the doctor, you done lost your goddamn, and not goddamn. They going to tell the doctor, you done lost your mind, because you're not about to stick that needle in me. But because of the degree of pain they're in and all the contractions they're dealing with, they embrace pain in order to get to pleasure. And all of us got to be comfortable with there are moments that you're going to embrace some pain to get to your pleasure. It's hard. It's tiring, but healing is available to you. But sometimes it's coming on the backside of the hurt. So hold your head up, walk through it. Know that this suffering that you're dealing with, it's not an easy process, but it will be a profitable process. I want you to make sure that you walk through whatever your thing is that you need healing from and get the proper care that is necessary. It's worth the struggle. It's worth the pain. It's worth the process. So I want you to make sure that you walk through the healing. Matter of fact, that's my segment for that today. Let's walk into this part now. Let's walk into turn up the volume. This is the time of our discussion that we really begin to focus in on some takeaways and how we can do some different things. We talked a lot today about the process of healing and how it feels. We talked about how even the healing has to come through further hurt. And the truth is that sometimes the hurt after the hurt is worse than the initial hurt. Sometimes the hurt after the hurt is worse than the initial hurt. But it's a process that is necessary for us to get ourselves to the position that we can finally be whole again. So there are moments that you got to just close your eyes, squeeze them real tight, and see yourself in the distance and deal with the difficulties of the now. See yourself in the distance and deal with the difficulties of the now. Because on the other side of this, there's going to be glory, there's going to be greatness, there's going to be better. But you got to deal with what you're dealing with right now. Don't become an emotional junkie with it. Don't become one who fall into your own feelings. Don't become self-absorbed, or in the country terms, bathed in your emotions. You have to be one that first walk out of your own cactus and then allow others to assist you. But don't expect people to have assistance in your pity party. They will participate, but they first need to see that you're going to take the first step. Healing is available to you. It's going to hurt, but it's going to help, and it's going to benefit you in the end. All right, here's my call to action. We've talked a lot today about healing in the process. And what I want you to do is, I want you this week to take a real strong self-reflection about who you are, what you're suffering through, even though sometimes we look good as we suffer. But don't give yourself too much credit, because the hurt is still there. And you need to heal and not just look like you're healed. I want to challenge you this week. Let's find ourselves. Let's take some space and some time. Let's write out the areas of our lives that we are really struggling and suffering in. It may be low self-esteem because of something somebody said to you. It may be a bad relationship, and now your expectations and your worth has been challenged mentally. It may be a parent or parental relationship. Maybe mom and dad wasn't in your life like you want them to be. Maybe mom didn't do all that you want her to do. Maybe dad didn't do what you thought he should have done. Maybe mom didn't have the relationship with you that gave you time, space, and opportunity to express yourself. Whatever it is, maybe a bad friendship, maybe you have backbiting friends, maybe rejection that what you went through, whatever it is. I want you to take some time out this week. I want you to identify those things, and I want you to start putting things into place that can help you heal. Remember, you may have been in the cactus and others are not coming in the bush with you. You got to take the first step to step out of that cactus so that you can have your own process of healing. Because watch this. Can't nobody else, and this is a theory I live by, nobody else can be as happy for you as you can be for yourself. You deserve to be happy for yourself. And so I want to challenge you this week. This is your call to action. Let's identify hurt. Let's start the process for healing. It's not going to be comfortable, but when you get to the end of it, it will be worth it. And you got to know that you deserve to be better. You deserve to be healed. You deserve to be uplifted, but you have to put the equity in, the sweat equity. You got to put in the efforts. You got to work the system so that you yourself can be healed, because nobody wants to be a flodger or a faker. You want to be one who is really healed so that you can now be a helper to other individuals. I'm going to close with this because I want you to remember this. What you're dealing with has an assignment on it, and it is to help somebody else deal with what you're dealing with. Somebody else is waiting for you to discover the keys for how to work it so that you can hand the keys over and you can show them that they can make it out as well. I love y'all for real, for real, for real. Like, did I say for real yet? I love y'all for real. I want you all to make sure that you tell somebody else, man, you got to hear what Derek L. McRae is saying on Unscripted. Tell your family and friends, make sure you go rate this program today. Rate it. All right. I'll holler at you. Love you. Peace.